The wind came first, cold, sharp, and endless. It howled across the fjords of Skarnheim, carrying with it the scent of salt and the promise of storms. Beneath that gray sky, the sea churned like a living thing, restless and cruel. Einar stood on the shore, his calloused hands gripping the prow of his small boat, eyes fixed on the horizon as though daring the ocean to take him. He was a man built from work and water, broad-shouldered, quiet, and weathered by years spent hauling nets from the deep. His wife, Astrid, often said that the sea had carved him just as it carved the cliffs, slowly, patiently, and without mercy. But today, the sea had already taken too much. The storm had come the night before, faster than any man could have predicted. It swallowed his brother's ship whole, dragging it into the depths with all hands lost. Only splinters and a single broken oar had washed ashore by dawn. Einar found that oar tangled in seaweed and laid it upon the sand like a body. Then, kneeling beside it, he whispered the names of his kin into the wind. That morning, the village bells rang for the dead. But even as the villagers mourned, the sea did not rest. It roared louder, as though mocking their grief. Astrid found Einar still staring out to sea when the sun began to sink. Her hair, red as autumn fire, whipped around her face in the wind. She laid a hand on his shoulder. "They are gone, Einar," she said softly. "I know. Then let them rest." "I cannot," he whispered. "The sea took them, and the sea will give them back." She looked at him, really looked, and saw something in his eyes she had never seen before, a terrible, quiet certainty. That night, when the others slept, Einar went to the longhouse of the seeress, Runa. Her hut smelled of ash and herbs, and the smoke curled like living serpents around the beams. She was blind, but she saw more than any living man. "I felt the storm take them," she said before he spoke. "The sea grows hungry again. I would go after them," said Einar, "to find where their spirits rest. Tell me what I must do." Runa tilted her head. "You would walk where no mortal sails. The sea beyond Midgard is not water, but memory and death. To cross it, you would need a ship of the dead and the blessing of Ran herself." "The sea goddess?" Runa nodded. "Ran keeps what the ocean swallows. She gathers drowned souls in her net. If you would see your brother again, you must go to her." Einar's jaw tightened. "Then I will." Runa reached into the firelight and took his hand. Her fingers were like driftwood, rough, old, and cold. "She will not bargain easily. She loves the drowned. She loves loss. You will give her something greater than you can imagine." Einar said nothing. When dawn came, he built a small ship from the bones of wrecked boats, driftwood, tar, and the oar he had found on the shore. Upon its prow he carved the likeness of a serpent, eyes wide and unblinking. Then he placed a token of his brother, a fragment of his cloak, beneath the mast. Astrid stood beside him, tears in her eyes. "Do not go where I cannot follow." Einar cupped her face in his rough hands. "I go to bring them peace." "And what of me?" He hesitated. "Pray that I return." She kissed him once, hard, as if to anchor him to the world, and then he pushed off into the waves. The sea welcomed him like an old enemy. The first days were kind, the wind steady, the water calm. Gulls followed his wake, and the sky was clear. But on the third night, the stars began to fade. The air turned cold enough to bite through bone. The waves rose like beasts, black and furious, and the sky split open with rain. Lightning cracked across the horizon, revealing shapes beneath the surface. Pale, shifting faces, mouths open in silent screams. "The drowned," Einar whispered. He lashed himself to the mast, gripping his axe with one hand as the sea tried to tear the ship apart. When the largest wave came, it towered higher than the cliffs of Skarnheim, crowned with white foam like the mane of some ancient horse. It fell upon him, and the world went black. When he awoke, there was no sea, no sky, only stillness. The ship floated in a gray void, the air thick as fog. His breath hung frozen before him. Then, from the depths below, he heard the whisper of chains. A shape rose from the mist, tall, graceful, and terrible. Her skin gleamed like wet stone, and her hair flowed like seaweed. In one hand, she held a net woven from moonlight and salt. "I am Ran," she said, her voice soft as the undertow. "Why does a living man trespass upon my waters?" Einar struggled to speak. "I seek my brother." "You took him." Ran smiled, a cold, knowing smile. I take all who belong to the sea. Your brother sleeps in my hall with the rest of the drowned. Why disturb their peace? Because he was not ready to die. Ren circled him slowly, her bare feet silent upon the water. None are ready, yet all come. Tell me, mortal, what would you give to see him again? Einar's voice cracked. Anything. Her eyes glimmered. Anything is a dangerous word. Would you give your soul? Your wife? Your memory of warmth? He hesitated, but did not waver. If that is the price. Ran raised her hand. From the depths rose a shimmering net, full of glowing forms. The drowned, suspended in her web. Among them, a familiar face. Bjorn, Einar whispered. His brother looked peaceful, as though merely asleep. Ran leaned close. You may take him, but in his place, another must join my net. The sea must always have its balance. Einar's heart pounded. Who? Ran smiled faintly. You know who. Astrid's face filled his mind. Her eyes, her laugh, the way she called his name when storms came. His breath trembled. No, not her. Then you will never see him again. Einar gripped his axe. Then I will take him by force. Rand's laughter echoed through the void, deep, ancient, and cruel. You cannot fight the sea, fool, but you may drown trying. She raised her hand, and the waters surged upward like a living wall. The ship splintered beneath him, and he fell into darkness once more. When he awoke again, he was lying on cold stone. A faint blue light glowed above him. Around him stretched the drowned halls of Ran, a city beneath the sea, made of coral and bone, where spirits drifted like smoke. Einar rose slowly, clutching his axe. He could feel the weight of the ocean pressing in from all sides, yet he breathed easily. Ahead, a great hall stood, its doors fashioned from whale ribs, its walls carved with faces of weeping men. And within, his brother waited. The drowned hall of Ran was vast and silent, its roof lost in shadow. The air shimmered with a pale blue light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. The walls were covered in carvings of ships sinking, waves devouring men, and faces of the lost, countless, all staring outward in eternal lament. Einar stepped cautiously, his boots echoing faintly on the wet stone. His hand never left the haft of his axe. He did not know if he breathed water or air, nor did it matter, only that he still breathed at all. As he walked, he passed through corridors lined with nets, each containing a drifting soul. They were pale, transparent, whispering words that had no sound. A few turned their heads toward him, eyes hollow, lips moving as if to speak his name. Einar. He froze. The voice came again, faint but real. Ahead, through the veil of mist, a shape appeared. A man, tall and strong, his hair dark and tangled. His brother, Bjorn. Brother. Einar stepped forward, heart hammering. It is truly you. Bjorn smiled weakly. It is me, but you should not have come here. I could not let you go without farewell. I would bring you home. Home. Bjorn's expression turned distant. There is no home for the drowned. We belong to Ran now. Then I will take you from her, said Einar, his voice low but steady. You cannot. The sea keeps what it takes. I have crossed death to find you. Einar said, his voice breaking. Do not tell me I came for nothing. Bjorn looked at him long and hard. Then you will have to fight her. From behind them came a sound, like the crack of thunder beneath water. The blue light flickered, and the floor trembled. Ran appeared once more, towering over them, her hair drifting like black seaweed. Around her feet swam serpents made of foam and shadow. So, she said softly, the mortal defies me. Einar raised his axe. I came for my blood. Return him, and I will leave your hall. Ran smiled. Leave? There is no leaving the depths. You are mine already. The serpents surged forward. Einar swung his axe, cleaving through the first, its body dissolving into black mist. Another coiled around his leg, dragging him down. He roared and struck again, each blow echoing like thunder in the water. But Ran did not move. She only watched, eyes cold and patient. When at last the serpents were slain, Einar stood panting, his body trembling. The blue light dimmed, and silence fell once more. You fight well, Ran said, but strength will not save you here. You are in my realm. Your heart beats only because I allow it. Einar spat. Then take it, but give me my brother. Ran's expression softened, almost sorrowful. You love deeply, mortal, and that is your curse. The sea knows no love, only taking. Then I will teach it, he said. Her eyes narrowed. So be it. She raised her hand, and the hall began to crumble. The walls turned to foam, the carvings melting into waves. Einar grabbed Bjorn's arm, but his brother's body was fading, his skin turning translucent. Go, Bjorn shouted. She's breaking the realm. Go before it takes you. Einar clung tighter. Not without you. But Bjorn only smiled, his voice calm even as he vanished. You were always the stubborn one. Then he was gone. Einar woke on the shore of Skarnheim, gasping, the sand cold against his cheek. His ship was gone, shattered remnants scattered along the rocks. His axe lay beside him, the runes upon its blade faintly glowing blue. For a long time, he lay there, staring at the sea. The tide crept close, licking at his feet, but he did not move. Only when he heard her voice, Astrid's voice, did he lift his head. Einar, she cried, running toward him. She fell to her knees beside him, pressing her forehead to his. You're alive, by the gods, you're alive. He could barely speak. Bjorn, he is gone. I know, she whispered. But so nearly were you. He looked into her eyes, the warmth, the life, the love. And he felt something shift inside him. He had gone beyond death and returned with nothing but grief. Yet somehow, that grief had become something sacred. The sea had not taken everything. He rose slowly, staring once more at the horizon. He rests now, he said quietly, and Ran will remember my name. Astrid took his hand. Then come home, my love. Let the sea keep its dead. Years passed. Einar grew old, his hair silver like frost, his hands still strong. Each night, he sat by the shore, whispering to the waves as though they could hear him. Some nights, when the tide was calm, he thought he heard a voice, faint, distant, whisper his name in return. The villagers said that when he finally died, the sea was still for 3 days. No wind, no waves, as though Ran herself mourned him. And when the storms returned, they set a single or washed ashore, carved with runes of peace and remembrance. No one touched it. They built a cairn of stones where it lay, and upon it, they carved these words. He defied the sea, and it remembered. The years after his return were quiet, yet not peaceful. Einar lived, but part of him remained in the depths, where Bjorn's laughter still echoed, where the goddess Ran had spoken his name. He rebuilt Skarnheim's walls, raised halls anew, and gathered the scattered clans. The people followed him not from fear, but reverence. He was the one who had gone into the sea and come back. But though his hands built, his heart wandered. At night, he walked to the cliffs, where the tide struck the rocks with fury. He would whisper to the dark waves, You took my brother, but you did not take my will. The wind never answered, not in words, only in sighs and salt. The dream of the flame. One winter night, as the aurora rippled above the frozen fjord, Einar dreamed. He stood in a hall of ice, beneath pillars carved from glaciers. In the center burned a fire that did not melt the frost, a golden flame, silent and still. From it stepped a figure, tall, cloaked in feathers, his eyes blazing like dawn. Einar of Skarnheim, said the figure, you have walked through death and defied a goddess. You have seen what few mortals dare. Einar knelt. Who speaks? I am Bragi, said the god of poetry and memory, the one who keeps the sagas of men and gods alike. I have come because the Norns have woven your name into a new fate. Fate? Einar said bitterly. I have had enough of the gods' games. Bragi's eyes softened. Yet you are part of it, whether you wish it or not. There is a wound in the world, a rift between the sea and the flame. Rant's sorrow grows. Her grief for her drowned husband, Aegir, festers into wrath. Soon she will unleash storms that will devour Midgard itself. And what has that to do with me? You carry her mark, Bragi said. When you defied her, you bound your soul to hers. You are the bridge between her wrath and her forgiveness. Only you can still her storm. Einar rose. Then tell me what must be done. The flame you see before you is sacred, the heart of Muspelheim, realm of fire. You must journey there. Find the ember of Surtur and bring it to the sea. Only fire can soothe her frozen heart. Einar frowned. Fire to calm the sea? Bragi smiled faintly. The world is made of opposites, sea and sky, fire and frost, death and love. You understand that more than most. The god reached into the flame and drew forth a glowing ember, placing it in Einar's hand. It did not burn, but it pulsed like a heartbeat. Guard it well, Bragi said. It is your brother's spirit that will guide you. And when the time comes, you will know the price. The hall faded into darkness. When Einar awoke, the ember lay in his palm, real, warm, alive. The road to Muspelheim. Einar gathered no warriors. This was not a battle for steel, but for spirit. He left Skarnheim in silence, leaving behind Astrid, now gray-haired and kind-eyed. She did not stop him, for she knew the sea still whispered his name. He journeyed east through the iron forests, across frozen rivers, and over black mountains. He met things older than men, trolls that watched from the mist, wolves that spoke in riddles, ravens that guided his path. Each time his resolve wavered, the ember pulsed, as though reminding him, go on. When he reached the edge of the world, where frost turned to smoke and the air shimmered with heat, he saw it, the gates of Muspelheim, a vast arch of molten stone. A guardian stood before it, a giant of flame, his armor glowing like a forge. Who seeks the fire's heart? The giant thundered. Einar of Skarnheim, he said. I seek the ember of Surtur to calm the sea's wrath. The giant laughed, his voice like cracking iron. You would bring peace to Ran? Foolish mortal. Fire and water are enemies eternal. Then let them be reconciled through me. Einar said. The giant raised his sword, flames swirling, then faced the trial of flame. The ground split, lava surged, and from it rose shapes of living fire, serpents, wolves, warriors of molten glass. Einar drew his axe. The runes along its blade glowed red, the blue of the sea now tempered by the fire's breath. He fought until his arms bled and his vision blurred, but his spirit burned brighter than the flames around him. Finally, as he struck down the last of the fiery warriors, the giant lowered his weapon. You are worthy, he said. Take what you seek. The gate opened, revealing a river of pure fire. From its heart rose a crystal, the true ember of Surtur, burning with colors beyond mortal sight. Einar reached out and took it. At that moment, he felt his brother's presence, calm, proud, silent. Bjorn, he whispered, we are almost home. Return to the sea. When he returned to the shores of Skarnheim, storms already raged. Waves rose higher than mountains, the sky torn by lightning. The sea roared with Rant's fury. Einar walked into the storm, clutching the ember. The winds howled his name. From the depths, Ran emerged, vast, her form now a maelstrom of grief and rage. You again, she cried. Have you come to defy me once more? Einar stood firm. No, I have come to end the sorrow. He raised the ember high. It blazed, casting gold light across the storm. Fire and sea, grief and love, let there be peace between them. The flames leapt into the waves, steam hissing as light met shadow. The storm screamed. Then, slowly, it began to still. Rant's voice softened. Why would you do this? Because I have lost enough, Einar said quietly. Let there be no more loss. She looked at him for a long time, and in her eyes, for the first time, was not fury, but tears. You have given me warmth again, she said. Go now, Einar of Skarnheim. Your place is not among the living, nor the dead. You shall be remembered as the one who healed the world. The waves rose around him, gentle now, lifting him like a cradle. As the sea carried him away, he heard his brother's voice one last time. You did it, little brother. Rest. And then the sea closed over him. Epilogue, the Song of Einar. They say that when storms break upon Skarnheim's shores, lightning burns blue, the color of the sea and the flame united. They say that sometimes, in the roar of the waves, one can hear a song, soft, deep, and sorrowful, the voice of a man who defied gods and brought peace to the world. His cairn still stands upon the cliff, beside the one they built long ago for his brother. No one touches it. Only the wind and sea sing there. And above them both, carved upon the stone, are the words, He brought fire to the sea and love to the gods.